Very warm welcome to the Arise interview, 60 glorious minutes of multifaceted discussions where we speak to the newsmakers as well as ordinary people doing extraordinary things, and will feature the voices at the heart of the stories. I am Christian Ogodo. Thanks so very much for joining us. Coming up in the next hour, there appears to be apprehension over the increasing insecurity and high rate of kidnappings in the country. The Federal Capital Territory is not spared, and it now appears that the Nigeria Police Force and other security agencies are in a quandary over strategies to combat the high rate of crime and its diverse nature in the entire country. The government is faced with a growing unemployment rate, high insecurity, and kidnappings that are now perceived as a booming enterprise. So, how best is the government trying to fight this worrying trend? What other strategies can be employed to tackle insecurity? We'll speak to the spokesperson of the Nigeria Police Force, a deputy retired director of State Security Service, as well as a retired commissioner of police, in a moment. The increasing growth of kidnapping in Nigeria has become a strong threat to national peace and security. It has affected the national image of the country and has eaten deep into every region and the entire segment of society. Some of the victims have not been lucky, as the criminals have in many instances snuffed lives out of them. Also, it is no longer news that the relative peace and smooth ride seemingly enjoyed by motorists and passengers who ply the Kaduna-Abuja road is fast becoming history, as commuters who ply the route are now forced to do so with their hearts in their mouths. This is a worrying trend that is threatening the nation's internal security. Before we speak to our panelists, let's hear the spokesman of the Nigeria Police Force, Frank Umba, speaking at a press briefing in Abuja, where 58 suspected criminals were paraded.
The suspects were arrested from different parts of the country in connection with different crimes, majorly the crime of kidnapping, armed robbery, car theft, unlawful possession of weapon, or rather weapons, murder, and the offense, which is popularly in the local parlance known as one chance. Sani will quickly do a live demonstration for you on how this thing operates. He will watch him carefully as he opens the chamber, and watch him carefully as he loads the weapons inside the chamber, and watch him carefully as he closes back the chamber. Sani, go ahead.
I can't go down.
Right now, Sani is trying to open the chamber. He has opened the chamber for you. He's loading the rifles. Got it. That's it, and it will take the special grace of God for you to detect this.
Well, even the police spokesman is calling on the name of God too to help secure, the lives and property of Nigerians. Well, Right now in the studio, I have a retired Director of State Security Service and a security consultant, Mike Ejiofor. But let me tell the viewers that we're still expecting to join us, Deputy Commissioner of Police and Force Spokesman, Frank Mba, and a retired Commissioner of Police who was in charge of the FCT and some other commands then, Lawrence Alobi. But so far, let me start with the retired Director of State Security Service. There is no gainsaying it that the security situation in the country has gone awry.
Yeah, actually it's very, very worrisome and disturbing what is going on in the country in terms of security. Just like you talked about kidnappings virtually everywhere. No part of the country is spared. And in addition to that, the sophistication in which these one-chance people operate, even within the FCT, is also becoming very worrisome. And I just do hope that our security agencies, especially the police, will be able to rise to the occasion. We've seen 58 people that were paraded. Yes, we agree. Most times we see police parading suspects. Thereafter, we don't hear anything about it. You remember the notorious kidnapping,
Evans, yeah,
in Lagos. Nobody is hearing anything about it.
The case is ongoing. It's just usual judiciary delay,
and,
adjournment here
you
and there.
see, when things happen like this, you see the fanfare with which people welcome and say, yes, police is trying. Look at what happened in Taraba, where some policemen who were killed.
Yeah.
I expected our government should have taken immediate action within the 2-3 months, within 1-2-3 months now. Everybody forget, we all suffer from collective amnesia. And that's why it's becoming very difficult for us to help in this situation. Now, like I was saying, the police is not adequately equipped to fight this scourge. United Nations statistics of 1 policeman to 400. And if you look at our figure, our police establishment, we have less than 350,000, taking care of over 200 million people. So you can work out the ratio. Besides that, out of these 350 or less than 400,000 of policemen, you have over 120,000 deployed for VIP protection. So where are the people? So they would need to look critically into our security architecture.
And the strength of the Directorate of State Security, I always prefer to call them State Security Service because that's what they are constitutionally known as.
I've corrected this before. The body established by law is the State Security Service.
Absolutely.
And the correspondence or the official address of the State Security Service is Department of State Services. We are here people talk of Department of State Security, Department of State Security Services, modeling up everything. But each time this issue comes up, I want to clarify the issue. The body established by law is the State Security Service. But the official correspondence address of the State Security Service is Department of State Services. So that's by the way. You see, the State Security Service, again, is equally suffering from the same problem of understaffing, underfunding, and what have you. So it's a problem. And
they're supposed to be very critical in helping, the uniformed police people because they are supposed to be undercover agents who will pinpoint all the black spots, and share such information with the regular police so that they can move in and arrest these people. So if that is the situation, then we're in dire straits, security-wise.
Yeah, sure we are, and but we should not give up hope. We shouldn't lose hope. There is still hope for Nigeria because with what they are doing so far, I think you cannot put something on nothing. What you don't have, you can't give. Our security forces are overstretched. I remember when this administration came in the first term, they talked about recruiting 10,000 policemen every year. How many have been recruited as we speak? And you expect the same police to cope with these security challenges? It's impossible. And that's why you see the military everywhere. Military is not supposed to be involved in civil maintenance of law and order. But because they are not, the police is not sufficiently equipped, the military is involved, and they are not trained for all this. Coupled with the stark economic realities we are facing, unemployment, people are going into crime to survive. That's no justification. I was watching one of the stations this morning where, to my greatest embarrassment, one of the directors of the central bank, some of these economic shows on one of the TVs mentioned that trying to justify
the deposit tax
yes,
on deposits and withdrawals.
Justify it by saying that less than 5% of Nigerians, it was quoting from the CBN data, less than 5% of Nigerians have transactions to do over 500,000 naira. And what does that tell you? The economic situation is very bad. People are going into crime, and the easiest way to make money now is to kidnap people. But my worry is how these people, especially in Abuja, are operating. You remember AIT lost one of his staff through these same people. And instead of collecting money, they subject their victims to unnecessary hardship, torture, stabbing them, and doing. It's worrisome.
And throwing them out of the vehicle.
Throwing them out of the vehicle.
We even hear that sometimes they hold, I'm sure when the spokesman of the Nigeria Police Force join us after the break, he would enlighten us more. Remember the video clip we showed, they paraded 58 amongst kidnappers, armed robbers, and the one-chance people. It's really become a very, very dangerous phenomenon in the federal capital city. In fact, the peace here seems to have been eroded. That's what we hear residents of the federal capital territory say.
Well, you see, I'm not in a position to compare the statistics because I believe, Abuja is better planned than Lagos. But because of the metropolitan nature of Lagos, it will be difficult, except the police comes up with the data. We'll have more cases in Lagos, I guess, than Abuja. But why Abuja is so planned that anything happening here, everybody gets to know of it. So that is why we must map out strategies by the police and other security agencies to see how this menace can be brought under control.
And some other people complain that the police is not really motorized enough, to nip some of these things. In most times, what you find is that they are stationary, what you call pinned down. But I'm going to leave that first. When we return from our commercial break, you'll be answering that. And at that time, Lawrence Alobi, the former commissioner or retired commissioner of police, together with the first spokesman, would be joining us. You're watching the Arise interview. Time for a short break. We've got more to come. You're welcome back to the Arise interview, where we speak to the newsmakers as well as ordinary people doing extraordinary things around the world and featuring the voices at the heart of the stories. I am Christian Ogodo. Thanks for staying with us. The insecurity of the Abuja-Kaduna road, followed by incessant robbery, killings and kidnappings by bandits, has forced most travelers to abandon that road traveling to Kaduna or Kaduna to Abuja, thereby exerting pressure on the train service. Even the elites are scared of plying the Abuja-Kaduna road due to the increased case of robbery and kidnappings. The kidnappers deployed several dubious tactics to capture their victims and demand for huge ransoms before setting them free. That's if the families of their victims are lucky enough to quickly come up with the demanded ransom. Here is another video of the spokesman of the police force, Frank Kumba, Deputy Commissioner of Police, parading the kidnap gang that abducted the chairman of the Universal Basic Education Commission along Kaduna-Abuja Highway some time ago.
We want to use this opportunity to inform Nigerians that the remaining suspects that were implicated, or rather that were involved in the unfortunate incident that led to the kidnap of the UBEC chairman, as well as the daughter, have been arrested. 4 of the suspects are here today, and they will be talking to the media themselves to tell you of the various roles they played in that unfortunate incident. This is Esther Senior. She was the one that was given this bag, and she was expected to take this bag all the way from Ondo State to somewhere in Ogun State. And the weapon was carefully concealed in the midst of all the fabrics. This is an AK-47 rifle, very lethal, very dangerous, and capable of wreaking havoc.
Okay, for more insights on these issues, I've now been joined by the spokesman of the Nigeria Police Force, Deputy Commissioner of Police, Frank Kumba, together with a retired Commissioner of Police who traversed the length and breadth of the Federal Capital Territory, Lawrence Alobi, and of course we still have Mike Ejiofor, another retired Director of Nigeria Secret Police, the State Security Service. Frank, welcome. Let me start with you. I mean, from what we've seen, it's a good harvest for the Nigerian police of criminals, generally. But it's like so much still needs to be done.
First of all, let me start by saying good evening to our viewers, and I will also say it's a big privilege sitting on the same platform with these accomplished men who have mentored me over the years. And thank you for providing me with such a platform. Yes, I've listened to the narratives. I equally watched the first part of the program, sitting in the studio, and I could also feel some of the questions. From your questions, it appears that you also share the view that there is increase in crimes and criminality in the Federal Capital Territory. I want to first of all start by correcting that notion. The Federal Capital Territory, Abuja, is safe.
Even with one chance every now and again?
The Federal Capital Territory, Abuja, is safe. And that city is not under any form of siege. If you compare the crime statistics in this city with the crime statistics in some of other capital cities across the globe, you'll be positively shocked that your own dear FCT is one of the safest cities in the world. If you compare the murder rate in this city and compare and contrast it with what is happening in the capital cities in some of the advanced countries, in Europe, in America, in Asia, and even parts of Africa, you will appreciate that you are living in a very safe city. What has happened here is the fact that because we run a police service that is very transparent and very accountable, and when we make arrests, we publicize this, people sometimes take different things away from the parade of suspects. While some feel it is an indicator, wrongly so, that there is an upsurge in crime, others take the main lessons which we want them to take from the parade. There's also the activities of the social media. For instance, over the weekend, there was a message that went viral listing names that were
kidnapping,
claimed to have been kidnapped within 48 hours.
Was it
a fact check will tell you that out of those 7 incidents, either 6 or 7 incidents listed in that viral message, only 2 were factual.
Yeah.
And even those 2 never happened within 24 hours. And those 2 cases have all been solved. We are not saying that there are no crimes in the Federal Capital Territory, but we are saying that looking at the crime rate, looking at the per capita crime rate in the city, our city is safe. And most importantly is the fact that you have a police force that is functionally dynamic, a police force that is responsible and responsive, a police force that is constantly watching the back of the citizens.
I'm sorry to cut you, but the public don't have this sense of belonging that you're trying to give them, because the police, the police that they see is one that is static, is the one that just has pinned down in area A and area B, and crimes are committed in area C, and there is no motorization. When I say motorization, you know what I'm saying. It does not have to be vehicular.
Can I respond to that very quickly?
Yes, please.
I don't think that what you've just said represents the cross views of Nigerians resident here. You are speaking to me as a journalist, and you are speaking to me from your own view.
As a resident too.
And let me say this. The Federal Capital Territory also has got, particularly the police command in Abuja, has got lots of vehicles that are deployed on the roads. And let me tell you something you don't know. Some of the vehicles that you see on static guards have also got the capacity to even view beyond where they are standing. We are already test running the cameras in these vehicles. And some of these vehicles that are stationed, let's say, for example, in front of the force headquarters, has the capacity to view as far as 100, 200 meters ahead of them on their cameras sitting in the vehicle. And some of these vehicles are also fitted with cameras, and these cameras are controlled centrally from the force headquarters Abuja. And so a whole lot of things are happening. We will, by God's grace, we will be fully launching these automated and centralized policing control systems at the force headquarters things. But they're already working, they're functional, and they are in full use. So Abuja
does that seem to be just within the city center that you're having all this? Do you have it in far-flung areas of the Federal Capital Territory?
Beyond even the Federal Capital Territory. Beyond even the Federal Capital Territory. The central control automated system we've got at force headquarters has a capacity to take videos relayed directly from as far as Uyo, as far as Sokoto.
So why is the police not being able to, solve this kidnapping problem on the Kaduna-Abuja express road? The trains are overstretched. You heard the commentary there.
Let me tell you how policing works. Policing, even when you are sick and drugs are administered to you, I can bet you your doctors, and that's why when you see a lot of advert, which some of them which your channel runs, you find out that they will tell you if symptom persists after 3 days, see your doctor. Some can be if symptom persists after 5 days. Meaning that even when you take medication, they don't work like magic.
Quickly relate that to the police and
if
the
you look at the
Kaduna-Abuja
situation on Kaduna-Abuja Expressway and you want to be sincere to yourself and to your calling, you would discover that the situation before the current Inspector General of Police came was worse than what we have today. The situation 2-3 months ago was so terrible. Relate it with what is happening there today, and you will appreciate the significant improvement that have taken place there. Before now, the rate at which kidnappings, armed robberies, and other violent attacks were taking place in that particular stretch of road, the frequency of the attack, the intensity of the attack, and then look at what is happening now when you can sometimes go for a whole month without any incident.
Why should there still be attacks with this new equipment that you said the police have gotten? Where are the police helicopters? Why are they not? That's a black spot. Where are the police helicopters?
I will relate it again to what you do. I've seen the best of the studios sometimes recording technical hitches even when live transmissions are going on. And these are part of the reality of functioning out there. Policing is a real-time operation. We understand why there will be uproar. We understand why there will be outcry when one incident happens. But we also want people to appreciate the amount of work, the amount of sacrifice, and the amount of effort people put on that road. If you take a census, a count of the number of vehicles that apply that road a day, a week, in a month, you will be shocked to know that hundreds of thousands of vehicles go through that roads without any incident.
Okay, Frank,
so
let me quickly put you on hold because we want to, take some messages. It's very important. You're still watching the Arise interview. We've got more still to come. Stay with us. You're welcome back to the Arise interview. I say have the officers here, I will call them, and gentlemen. Yeah. Let me come to the retired Commissioner of Police, Frank Alobi. Do you sorry, Lawrence Alobi. Sorry.
Combination of police.
Yeah. Well, Lawrence, do you share the sentiments, being expressed about the police being atop the security situations, despite the frequency, the outcry of Nigerians about the spate of, general criminalities now, banditry, kidnappings?
Of course, yes.
I know you'll be saying yes because you're coming from the same institution.
Not at all. I'm very objective. I don't believe in sentiment and emotions. What I want to say is that of all the federal capitals of the countries to the world, Abuja is one of the safest. I used to be CP of this Abuja. I know what it takes. Go to developed countries, even in developed countries in Europe and America and Africa, their cities are, the crime rate here is so minimal as compared to those cities. I don't want to mention names. That's so minimal. Abuja is one of the safest capitals in the world. I can say it unequivocally because statistics are there to show.
So, but what has gone wrong in recent times?
No, see, there's no crime-free society, my dear brother.
No, we're not saying the crime-free society. The UK, for example, is the most policed city in the world. And the way they do theirs is that artificial intelligence help that policing very well. That is what Frank said they're trying to employ here. So the crime rate in the UK is lower than what you have
there are many factors,
in London. There
are many factors that contribute to crime. Poverty, bad governance, bad leadership, unemployment, poor infrastructures, and so forth. These are factors that of notorious fact in this country. And then these problems are not, these challenges are not caused by the police. Police are only a victim of a defective system. The crime in Abuja is under control. The police is on top, and the police on top in the sense that if you look at the number of persons in Abuja vis-a-vis the number of policemen, vis-a-vis policing today is technologically driven.
Yeah.
And then that's why the police is like the Frank just explained how they are trying to integrate technology and ensure that this issue of crime is being brought under control. Technology is not based with you don't pick it, you buy it, and that's funding. That's why I always be appealing to Mr. President to assent to the police trust fund that has been approved by 8 governors and National Assembly.
It has been assented to on 24th June 2019.
Oh, great.
The President has signed it.
Great.
And it's expected that the fund and the act, it aims to provide not just a legal framework for the management and control of the police trust fund, but it has spelled out how much, for example, 0.5% of the federation account is supposed to go to the fund.
Yes.
Another 0.005% is supposed to be contributed from the profit after tax of companies operating in Nigeria. But unfortunately, there are a few gaps in this trust fund. First, remember that a trust fund is going to last for 6 years. Thereafter, if the National Assembly fails or the executive fails, they can bring it up again for a renewal. But this fund has taken effect from the 24th of June. Let me ask Frank.
If you don't mind, sir. If you don't mind.
Go on.
I happen to be one of those who were before the Senate to defend this fund. And the issue of tenure of the fund, well, I raised it. I said, it cannot that it shouldn't have any tenure issue. It should be in perpetuity. Crime and security is something that is an integral part of society. Are we saying that sustainability should not be there? What about our next generation? Are we going to leave them to the hands of hoodlums and criminality? We should ensure that this fund is in perpetuity. As long as Nigeria remains as a country, as long as the Nigerian police force, the fund should succeed and it should be there to serve the Nigerian people.
Okay, Frank, let me quickly come to you. I mean, you are well apprised with this act and that it's now operational as a law, and you work directly with the Inspector General of Police. Tell us, has the fund been operational? Have you been collecting anything to these funds and the rest?
I mean, you will agree with me that the law just came into operation recently. And a few administrative actions certainly will be taken before you can actually begin to operate this fund properly. There are appointments that are needed to be made.
The boards, for example,
board members, for example, and the rest of them.
Implementation committee.
So once all these machineries are properly set in motion, then the trust fund will begin to operate properly, so-called. But I want to say something. I've seen a couple of criticisms around this law. Like CP Alobi has mentioned the issue of
tenure.
The tenure. And then I've also seen some businessmen who actually criticize it. Of course, they are capitalists, and even though it is 0.005%, they still feel it is something, you're taking something away from them. And they've tried to compare it with the education tax fund,
yeah.
the ICT tax fund,
yeah.
Which they have criticized and labeled as not being effective and successful. But I want to say something. The Lagos State Security Trust Fund has become a best practice. It has been exported outside the shores of this country. Other countries have copied the Lagos State Security Trust Fund. Other states in the country have equally copied the Lagos State Security Trust Fund. It is time-tested, it is trusted, it is efficient, it has helped in turning around the security in Lagos State. I can tell you, and I will tell all those businessmen and women who are protesting, that without the Lagos State Security Trust Fund, a lot of their businesses probably might have migrated from Lagos. And so we have we have something we are replicating at the national level. So I have no doubt that this will be successful. I'm also very positive that even the initial pessimism expressed probably by the lawmakers in trying to fix a tenor for it will be a thing of history by the time they discovered how effective, how functional, how dynamic, and how useful and purposeful the operation of this fund will be.
Mike, before I come to you, let me ask him one question that a lot of Nigerians are really waiting to hear. The Taraba King pin, what's his fate so far? You must have concluded your investigation. I'm talking of, is it Madume? Wadume, yeah. What was the situation now? Has the military handed over the captain?
The beautiful thing here is the fact that we were able to rearrest Wadume. And Wadume is in proper custody of the Nigerian security agencies. So as long as Wadume is alive, as long as Wadume is in proper custody, I believe that justice will be served.
It's taking 2 months.
Let me tell you something. The facts of this case are so clear. They are in the public domain. And I don't see anybody trying to play games, because if you do, Nigerians will continue to ask questions. Arise TV will ask questions. This Day will ask questions. Punch will ask questions. Channel will ask questions. Nigerians both at home and the diaspora
Isn't that why the police should expedite 2 months after? You've arrested him. You've gathered the evidence are overwhelming. The army captain involved, I think, is being court-martialed, or it must be in your custody now if he's not been dismissed.
I want you to understand this.
Yeah.
There are procedures, because that's involved 2 key governmental agencies. There is a panel that was set up to probe this. And I am not a fit and proper person to speak for that panel, to speak about their modus operandi, about their investigations, their findings, their recommendations. But as much as I'm a stakeholder here, as much as I'm one of the bereaved and the grieving members of the public, as long as it affects my own primary constituency, I still very much believe that there is no way this matter will be pushed
under the table
or under the carpet.
Do you fear for your life? Because the statement you made, you know, at the advent of this kidnapping incident and the killings of those gallant police officers, one wanted to liken you to your colleague then, Alozie Ogbugwaja. Do you fear for your life at any time?
I think, again, I'll be very circumspect speaking on this matter, because it's a matter that is currently being handled by a joint probe panel. And let's wait for the outcome of their investigations, and I'm sure a public statement will be made. But like I've said again and again, I don't one bit believe that what happened in Taraba is a true representation of the beautiful values of Nigerian military. I see it as an exception to the rule. I see it as an isolated incident, and I believe that the leadership of the Nigerian military will not do anything to allow this to go down the drain.
Aren't you circumspect? We have just 1 minute before we go on break. What General T.Y. Danjuma said, that Nigerians should rise and defend themselves because the military is not defending them.
Again, that is a matter I will not want to speak on, because
that wasn't circumstantial, was it?
That's not a matter I want to speak on, because that statement was not directed at me. It's not coming from my constituency. I speak for the Nigerian police force. I speak for the Inspector General of Police.
Okay, Mike, you have very short seconds here, but when we return, definitely I would be asking you more about, the collaboration between the agencies. One agency feeling more superior than the other, the police like taking the back seat. Maybe it's only in cases of the Wadume zone or high-profile kidnapping and the rest that will get. Okay, let's go on this short break. You're watching the Arise interview. We'll take a short break. When we return, we'll continue with our discussion. Welcome back to the Arise interview, and I still have the panelists here, all officers and gentlemen. Let me speak to Mike. Mike, the issue of superiority complex, particularly even from your former agency, superintending over the police when you are a creation of the Nigeria Police Force, again seems to sour relations and help in curtailing criminality. Am I right?
Well, I thought that's your position. One, I joined the Nigeria Police Force. I'm a product of the Nigeria Police Force. I was in the police when the NSO was created, then transformed to State Security Service. And I can tell you that in my 35 years in the service, I never had any problem. I worked with over 20 commissioners of police. During that time, you had frequent postings changing because of political reasons, instability. Commissioners of, you'll be in one state. In less than 1 year, you have 3-4 commissioners of police. So the point is...
How does that help the stability of security?
That's what I'm saying, instability. Yeah. But I can tell you, on authority, that the relationship between the State Security Service management now and the police is at its best. Because there is collaboration, there's synergy, you can see exchange of intelligence between the State Security Service and the police. And we must differentiate or distinguish what happened in Taraba. I don't look at that as interagency rivalry or one agency trying to overlook the other. That is pure criminality on the part of the officers. And I also want to disagree with Frank. Government must expedite action to serve as deterrent to others. Reason is this. I once mentioned that our service personnel, military personnel, are involved 2 months before that incident. That I restrained myself for 2 months before saying that our military personnel. So anybody acting is acting on his own, not on behalf of the service. Each service he belongs to. So I believe that government should not toy with this very, very incident where lives, promising young men, trained officers were wasted for no justifiable reason.
Gruesomely murdered.
So we must, this must, and in one of my appearances, I expressed reservation on the constitution of that panel that looked into the matter. It should have been an administrative or judicial commission of giving time frame within which to submit its report and the action implemented. Nobody, as I speak, I don't even know whether the captain is still in the service or he has been handed over to the police, because pure criminality that must be handled. And I want to call on government and all the agencies, the leadership of the agencies, to look into this matter, because if you don't do it, it's going to promote more bitterness between the agencies, that nothing is happening. Yeah. And we must avoid that.
Yeah, let me come to you, Lawrence. The process of recruitment again into, the Nigeria Police Force seems to be calls for certain questions. We know that the facilities are cake, the books, it's the same order, no newness in, the colleges and the rest. No fresh verve is being brought into the recruitment and training of the officers and men.
Yeah, recruitment process, so the police serve as a structure, and we have calibers of police level. You have the rank and file, the inspectorate, and the officers cadre. And officers cadre usually have the assistant commissioner to commissioners, AIGs, DIGs, and IG, of course, which is the head of the force. Recruitment, rank and file issues and inspectors are handled by the police itself. Training, promotion, discipline handled by the police. So recruitment also has its own. The police also are supposed to handle it because they are the ones who are going to train. You have to make sure whom you are retraining. You have to recruit who is trainable, who in terms of emotionally, mentally, physically fit, and to be actually has the requisite qualification.
The police are overworked. Most times they're on standby 24 hours and the rest. So how can such a man be mentally and physically fit and is carrying arms?
So you need someone who is emotionally stable and mentally fit to be able to be recruited as a police officer. So the police are also, the process is laid down there. You go to medical examination, written examination, at least so that you have qualification and so forth. They're laid down procedures, and I think this procedure is being followed. And I believe it's being followed. The point is that let us make sure that the point is not even recruitment exercise, but the capacity building process.
Yeah.
Policing is knowledge based, and knowledge is acquired through capacity building and training, and that cannot be done through proper funding. So I'm happy that this trust fund bill has been signed, and then you see citizens should ensure that Section 24 of the Constitution provides that it's a constitutional duty of every Nigerian citizen to assist the security agency in terms of law and order. When citizens contribute to this fund, it is a way of contributing to policing, effective policing and security in the country. Okay. So they should not complain at all. They can participate. They can contribute to effective policing and security management of the country.
Okay, fantastic. Frank, let me come back to you. It's still very worrisome, the one chance situation. How can citizens be safe, detect, have that intuitive perception of a one chance vehicle? That's how they operate.
There's something my big brother and boss, CP Alobi, said. In his analysis, he tried to draw your attention and the attention of our viewers to some of the criminogenic factors, those factors that are fueling crimes in our society. He listed things like unemployment, the youth bulge, and so many other things: illiteracy, lack of opportunities, inequality, political exclusion, and the rest of them. I can tell you, if you want to solve the challenges of one chance today, there are non-law enforcement approaches you can adopt. And one of them is to have an organized transport system. Have an organized transport system in this city today, and you will take all the one chance operators out of business. If you have an organized transport system in this city today, a properly organized, properly funded transport system where citizens are sure that when they step out, they can catch a bus at so time from point A to point B. And there are buses applying designated routes, and these buses are properly manned. You can have one chance. You have one chance because there are ungoverned space. There are spaces that are being taken over by these criminal elements who are throwing in these unpainted vehicles, sneaking them into the system. And when a citizen finds himself in a situation where he needs to move from one point to the other.
Is it illegal to drive unpainted taxi?
It is not illegal, and that's part of the challenges of policing the one chance, because if someone comes out, it is illegal to use an unpainted vehicle and unregistered vehicle for commercial. But it is not illegal to drive them. And because these one chance operators don't take off from recognized and registered car parks, you can't just see a vehicle. They operate like as if they are private cars. And so if you see a car, unpainted car, in private color, moving from one part to the other.
One chance vehicles will always have, they are usually overloaded, 2 in front, 4 behind, or
That is not true.
Doesn't follow.
It doesn't follow. As a matter of fact, they wouldn't even want it to be overloaded because they don't want They don't even like taking in too many passengers at the same time so that they are not overwhelmed. The idea is to have the number they can control, the number they can intimidate, the number they can easily subject to absolute control. So they won't take more than necessary.
Okay, is it true that some of these one chance people, they go around with POS? Have you come across victims? You know,
I've heard that severally, but I've never seen any.
You've heard? Okay.
I've heard that, just like so many other stories that you find in the cyberspace, in the social media space. But I have not met any one person
I'm
with
so
a
sorry.
similar experience.
We really need to go now. Gentlemen, I wish we had more time. From my far left there, Lawrence Alobi, former Commissioner of Police, and Mike Ejiofor, retired Director, State Security Service, and the spokesman of the Nigeria Police Force, Deputy Commissioner of Police, Frank Umba. Thanks so very much for joining us on the Arise interview. That's the edition for today. I am Christian Ogodo. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.